Catharism. Back to the basics. Cathar Love 152. Basically, Catharism, medieval, contemporary, is about love. It's not about trying to start a new religion. In fact, even the medieval Cathars were escaping the clutches of Catholicism, for at that time virtually everyone was born a Catholic, and they escaped from the religion and took up the philosophy, the beliefs of Catharism. And it revolved around unconditional and undifferentiated love for everybody and everything, everywhere, which included the planet, the environment, animals. And the Cathars were definitely against killing. They wouldn't kill animals. Although they used parchment, and parchment came from cows, and cows were killed for parchment. So leather was used for sandals. So if it was necessary, then that's the way it was. So they're very pragmatic. They meditated, went deep within. They weren't interested in structures such as churches and temples and things like that. They prayed in homes, in the forest, under the trees. Their cathedral were the trees in the forest. Caves. They took refuge in caves when they had to. But always there was this theme of love. Of course, reincarnation. They believed in many lives. They believed that they didn't get it correct this time. Don't worry, you've got other lives in front of you. They believed in spirit guides. They got their guidance from their guides. And it was evolving and just moving away from religion and religious practices. And the other thing was that everything that was natural, there was nothing sinful in everything that was natural, which included the body, sex, etc. They had, if a woman was a virgin and she, then they promoted chastity until a person got married, or they fell in love and this was the people or the partner that they wanted to be with, and then sex was a natural part of the system. But it was entirely up to the person, and it was always from a point of view of love, loving the other person. Everything was directed through love. So they were quite a happy lot because they had no salvation or damnation to worry about. They weren't interested in having babies every year, which the church wanted. If you didn't have a baby each year, your woman was committing murder, as one of the church fathers said. So these are very much the basics of Catharism. They, in fact, if we had the Cathar way, because they had children, yes, you wanted a child, yes, that's fair enough, a couple of kids, whatever it was. If you didn't want to have any children, that was also fair enough. It wasn't something that was thrust upon you. But today, with everybody, all the religions promoting procreation to enlarge their religions, we have this population explosion.
It was announced in Downing Street this afternoon that the government are now extremely concerned about the population explosion.
No, of course I didn't mean that type of explosion, that type of population explosion. The plain fact is there's too many on the planet to sustain it, and between overproduction and the population explosion, we're heading towards, we shouldn't be, but it would appear that because people aren't going to change, we inevitably are heading towards not a complete extinction, but a very large extinction of our species and many others. So if the Cathar beliefs and philosophy were there, there'd be no, we prefer not to have children. And the other thing was that they looked at it was they were about you, me, and getting ourselves together and not bringing other souls into the world, which, and especially at that time, was a very miserable world indeed. And for most people on this planet at this time, it's a very miserable world indeed. And the COVID-19 is not making it any more pleasant. Praying. Probably it's been a long time since somebody in so many countries prayed to escape getting ill. I term, if you're praying for somebody else to help them or assist them, or for them, why not? Why not? Better to help them physically if you can with actions. Make that your prayer. But we have everybody praying, all different religions, all different manners of prayer. And I don't know how the good Lord above, if there is a good Lord above, how he takes it, but this is a possible a humorous take on it.
O Lord, I beseech thee in my hour of need as a minister of the one and only true faith, to answer these my prayers. O Lord, your church lives in troubled times. Everywhere
in the name of Allah the Beneficent, the Merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of the world, the Beneficent, the Merciful, owner of the day of judgment.
Scatter the
Lord
our God
is
one Lord.
Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy
Protect your
true
faithful
believers.
all thy need.
Thou knowest that many of your followers have taken the wrong path
which I speak to
through the meditation of your servant. Padme Hum, pray to Mani Padme Hum, be protected. Mani Padme Hum, Mani
O Divine Master, choose the prophet of prophets, show them
Okay, a little bit of fun doesn't hurt now and then. But really, in actual practice, the churches, St. Peter's, the mosques, synagogues are all empty. Now, if one was religious, and I'm certainly not, I believe I'm spiritual, very much into mysticism, guidance, because being with your spirit guides and having guidance is a mystical experience. So I'm very much into that, but certainly not religion, not organised religion in any manner or form. But it would seem that in a time such as this, when the virus is running amok throughout the world, killing hundreds of thousands, that the place to go for protection and take refuge, as we did in ancient times, would be into a church and pray. But it doesn't work out that way in real practice. In actual fact, it's through washing our hands and keeping social distance and keeping a distance away from others, testing. It's all these things that are effectual. And where this has happened, such as my country, Australia, we've been flat and we're opening up the business in most states. Cafes, restaurants and so forth are opening up again. So but with that social distancing even so. So prayer doesn't seem to have stopped the virus, if at all. You know, the thing with your hands, instead of praying, is to be washing them often and for a length of time, to wash the oils off that may carry the virus. But with the basics of Catharism, it always comes back to love. And the thing about it is, there are no commandments. Thou shalt not this, thou shalt not do that. And there's no warnings. If you do this, you'll go here. If you don't do that, you'll go there. There's no salvation. There's no damnation to be involved with. It's a matter of living your life to the best that you can, to the best of your ability, in the most loving way, assisting others, assisting the environment. And when it's time to go, it's that door closes or opens, then closes, and then you're in the world of spirit, and up there you're learning, you're progressing, and at some point you'll return again, reincarnate, until that point comes that you no longer need to reincarnate on earth. Why, then you're a very loving individual. But even in the world of spirit, you move on, and ultimately there you move to another level, and even there one can reincarnate, but not in the reincarnation form that we do, where you reincarnate to pleasanter worlds, pleasanter universes, because you're moving on, but you're still learning and ever moving towards the source. But with the period of lifetime to do it, everything happens at its own rate. The other thing, of course, which is a bit puzzling to us, because here we have time. Everything is, even eternity. We think, oh, that's a long time. But we're looking at it as though it's a clock ticking. But in the world of spirit, and the spiritual world, the world of spirit, time does not exist. There's just that perpetual now. So it's a different ball game altogether. Again, getting back to basics, the Cathar ethos, or the Cathar beliefs, are encapsulated in that which was given to Colin Bloy in 1974 in Montsegur. It was channeled in by Gulabart de Castro. Now, Gulabart de Castro was the head bishop of the Cathars. He wasn't a bishop in a religious way, but he's still the head. Then he died, and then Bertram Hardy took over. But he channeled this, and it's often termed the Cathar prophecy, but it's not really prophecy. He's not prophesying anything. So why call it a prophecy? You call it a manifesto. That's a bit like the Communist Manifesto. And no, it's more a Cathar belief, or Cathar philosophy, Cathar creed. And I want to read it to you, but again you'll see it in print. But there, it really encapsulates all that Catharism, or being a Cathar, is all about. It sums it up in a very, very attractive manner. So, it's been read before, but I believe it's time, being Catharism, getting back to basics, that I read it again. And so it's just something that we can again go over, and in regards that, to see where we're at as far as living or believing or adhering to the Cathar philosophy. So Cathar creed, Cathar belief. It has no fabric, only understanding. It has no membership, save those who know they belong. It has no rivals, because it is non-competitive. It has no ambition, because it only seeks to serve. It knows of no boundaries, for nationalisms are unloving. It is not of itself, because it seeks to enrich all groups and religions. It acknowledges all great teachers of all the ages who have shown the truth of love. Those who participate practice the truth of love in all their daily being. There is no walk of life or nationality that is a barrier. Those who are, know. It seeks not to teach, but to be, and by being, enrich. It recognizes the collectivity of all humanity, and that we are all one with the One. It recognizes that the way we are may be the way of those around us, because we are that way. It recognizes the planet as a being of which we are a part. It recognizes that the time has come for the supreme transmutation, the ultimate alchemical act, the conscious change of the ego, in a voluntary return to the whole. Each one will dedicate his or her life to the silent loving of their neighbour, the environment and the planet, whilst carrying out their daily task, however exalted or humble. It admits of no hierarchy or structure, for no one is greater than another. Its members shall know each other by their deeds and being, and their eyes, and by no other outward sign save the fraternal embrace. It does not proclaim itself in a loud voice, but in the subtle realms of loving. It salutes all those in the past who have blazoned the path but paid the price. It recognizes the supremacy of the great idea, which may only be accomplished if the human race practices the supremacy of love. It has no rewards to offer, either here or in the hereafter, save that of the ineffable joy of being and loving. Its members shall seek only to advance the cause of understanding within whichever church, group or family they happen to be. They shall do good by stealth and teach only by example. They shall heal their neighbour, their community, and our planet. They shall know no fear and feel no shame, and their witness shall prevail over all odds. It has no secrets, no arcanum, no initiations, save that of the true understanding of the power of love. And that, if we want it to be so, the world will change, but only if we change ourselves first. All those who belong, belong. Many churches, groups and sects are impositions by the few on the many, preying on weakness. The Cathar community of love is the reverse. It liberates and promotes individual strength. Such vestigial structure as it eventually may have must come from those who know they are a part of it. This is a Cathar community of love. Again, notice there's nothing about salvation or damnation. It talks of the hereafter, world of spirit. It really emphasizes that love, loving, being loved, the action of love, has a power. It's the power to change. So, to me, I don't pray. I don't suggest others don't, because a lot of people pray and it gives them hope. And who will want to take away a person's hope? But to me, again, even with love, actions speak louder than words. You want to pray for the environment? Plant a tree. Don't harm the environment so much. All this is, and it should be centered around love. Love of self, love of others, love of planet, love of our environment. But the other thing is that Cathar, or those who believe in the philosophy of Catharism, we're not stuck. We have science. We believe in science, good science. Not all science is good. We're not trying to keep the world and keep the world's beliefs in some medieval or ancient structure or set of myths or beliefs. We are all about what is happening today. What do we understand about the world today? What do we understand about the world today? Not just the world on earth that we happen to live, but also the world of spirit. We are open to being guided, to guidance, to spirit guides. It's such an important part of Catharism, the philosophy of Catharism, the mystical side, and that separates us from the rituals and the pomp and the power and all the stuff that goes on with the other religions. You can be that type of person over there and live your life this way, that way, this way, that way. You can be a nudist. It doesn't matter. As long as you're not harming anybody and what you do is loving and caring and kind, that's all that matters. There's nothing, as Henri de Bourg said, if you boil it down, really, there's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to be frightened of. The worst thing that can happen to any of us is death. And death, for those through regression, hypnotic regression, meditative regression, those who've had near-death experiences, who've been up and then come back, they're not complaining. They just say it's the most wondrous thing that can do, so that can happen to us. So in reality, in actuality, the single best thing that can happen to anybody is death. You're opening the door to the world beyond. Now, at the same time, we are given the gift of life, and we have a responsibility, an ethical responsibility to live that life and live it well and live it and take charge of our health and well-being and those of our friends and family. Of course, we hear at the moment there's so many people die, and we can see the anguish, we can see the pain, we can see the hurt, we can see you'll miss these people. I miss my friends who've died. But that's from a personal point of view. That actual person is dead in the world of spirit, and they've gone to their family, and they're as happy and as joyful and as blissful that one could possibly be. So at the same time, we understand people's grief, and grief is such a powerful thing. So the basics of Catharism, it all revolves around love, the act of love, how you love, who you love, what you love. It's about that. It's not about warnings, threats, commandments. That's the complete antithesis. Within the philosophy of Catharism, one can live a joyful, blissful life. Sure, we'll have our hard times. Sure, we'll have our hard knocks. But we enjoy the things that are there. There's nothing there that is natural, that is in any way sinful, or that you shouldn't be doing. Life is to be enjoyed, and life is to be celebrated. At times, we can't celebrate it. You have a toothache, it's a severe toothache. It's a little bit hard to celebrate life. That's just the way it is. So, it's a wholesome, fulfilling philosophy for life and death and beyond. Catharism. Bye for now.